thousands of dollars of intellectual property. And I will be breaking down a lot of the things that you do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and how that can turn into streams of income. And so, if you are new here, my name is Dr. TK, licensed clinical psychologist and therapist, business coach, and mentor. And I'm the proud founder of Dope Therapist Academy for private practice for clinicians all over the country, as well as the Therapist Scale Academy and Elite Coaching Mastermind for therapists, where we focus on scalable, ethical clinical streams of income, plus a little mix of digital products. So what I am going to do is I'm going to share my screen. This is going to be a full-blown masterclass. And so get your paper and pen ready, and let's go ahead and hop into it. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me grab the window. All right, so y'all should see that. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop into it. So like I said, we're going to be talking about how you can turn your expertise into ethical digital products. Hold on for just a second, y'all. Okay, I want to make sure my little face was in the corner. All right, let's hop into it. All right. Okay. So, when you think about digital products as a service provider, a therapist, a healer, a social worker, all the various titles, something that we need to think about in this day and age is you want to be asking yourself, why are people not Googling me? Why can't I be the version in my area of expertise as the AI tool to provide information? Because yes, people can go on Google, YouTube, podcasts, and they can just cheat code and shortcut the information, which is a wonderful thing. But it's just transitioned into people are being more discerning around how they are investing money and or spending money in terms of getting the transformation. So when you think about all of the things that you have done over up to a decade, or for some of us 2 decades or more, think about all of the things that you have access to that like Google or AI has access to, right? So therapists, we have thousands, not 500, we have thousands of clinical hours. We also have a lot of frameworks, AKA theoretical orientations, and we've adapted to, figuring out who we are and wanting to present ourselves in a particular way. We also are really good, I know I am, with analogies. We are very good with teaching and providing psychoeducation to new clients and to the general public. And we are able to have every single day what we would consider transformational conversations, to the point where we laugh in our communities because we say, or I will tell our clients, have you ever had a conversation with family or friends? They ask you what you believe is a simple question, but it's complex to them because they don't see things through your lens. And then when you answer the question, their mind is blown. And then you realize that was so simple. That was like psychology 1, like undergrad, first year of college, and their mind is blown, but we see things through a different lens. And so the real question is, why are you keeping your expertise and who you are and how you can help people trapped inside, here it is, a 1-hour session? Because that's ultimately what we're going to break down today is you are doing things inside of sessions, whether you work at a job, whether you're a contractor, you work in somebody else's group practice, or you have your own. You are doing things all the time in sessions or in a work or institutional site. And you have just not learned how to package it into something like a digital product. And so when you think about your expertise, I want you to start owning that is your intellectual property. Okay. It is yours because you learned something and then you transformed it in a way where it has become so easy for you to understand that then you can go out there and teach the public in your own way through your special sauce. Okay. So think about it. Every time that you explain how someone feels anxious based off what they're telling you, of course, like you just, paraphrase what their symptoms are, but help them understand it. Every time you teach someone how to uphold boundaries, every time you help someone regulate their emotions, maybe you simplify trauma responses to help them understand what's happening in their body and their nervous system. And you teach, I'm going to say, basic communication skills, such as, are you an aggressive speaker? Are you passive aggressive right now? Are you passive or are you assertive? A lot of people don't even know that there are 4 types of communication styles, but you are doing this all day long, right? So all of that teaching, and that's only a few examples, all of that can become things like a workbook. It can become a checklist. And, we're going to talk about ethics and how you don't want to position and market and message your product like it is a replacement of you, because it is not. But at the end of the day, you can turn your expertise into digital products like workbooks, checklists, a guide, a digital tool, or a psychoeducational product. At the end of the day, you're teaching all day. So, most clinicians, we're definitely not missing ideas or expertise. But what we tend to be missing is the structure to get all these ideas in our brain, maybe onto a sheet of paper or a document, and organize them and give them structure. Maybe we don't know how to position ourselves in a digital product because we may be in fear that we're crossing over ethical lines, and we want to make sure that the general public understands what we will and will not be to them through our digital products. Maybe you really have a hard time, and we're going to actually dive deep on this one. You have a hard time simplifying what you're actually saying. You use all of this psycho jargon. So let me be clear. When I'm talking to therapists, most of the time I'm talking real regular, right? But I noticed that it seems like that don't be hitting, like I got to get technical and stuff. And so I don't want you to get it mixed up with, sometimes when I give analogies to therapists, I do that because in their brain, it is registered that clinical jargon, like, goes to a part of their brain really quickly. You can decipher what I'm saying. If I say case conceptualization, you know what I'm talking about. If I say treatment plan, you know what I'm talking about. If I say two-part intake, you know what I'm talking about, but the general public does not. So what I have found when working with clinicians as a business coach and mentor is sometimes it clicks faster for you to understand when I use clinical jargon as an analogy for it to cross over to business. But that is not the way that I talk to the general public. That is not the way that I talk when I'm doing mental health services or workshops or groups and such. Okay. But your goal and your role is to simplify things. Now, lastly, the biggest beast and thunder of joy is a lack of execution and implementation. Maybe you have all the ideas, maybe you've invested in courses or live events or something, but when it comes down to like putting it all together, and I'm gonna say following instructions and then going to test it out, some people are missing the juice to go and like test things out. Okay. So therapists accidentally, when you think about a day in services or however you give back, you are repeatedly, saying the same thing over and over in some, weeks all day long. Some clinicians see clients 5 days a week at a job. And what we would consider that is repetition, right? It's like a rinse and repeat. And it's to the point where you probably get bored. You probably even notice that you're saying something back to back in like 3 to 4 sessions. Now, another way that I want you to think about that is like, this can be my next digital product or a version of it. So let's do some digital product math. I'm real notorious of doing this in a very good way on Instagram. And so digital product math, the average steal for individual services across all states, because we all know that inflation hits differently and cost of living is different. But the average investment that people will pay out of pocket is still around $150. Okay. That's for one therapy session, about 45 to 50 minutes, one person. Now, when you think about a workbook, of course, you have to build it, you have to market it, you have to do the legwork. Okay. You can take a $27 workbook on top of you seeing the clients. Because when some people see this math, they like, oh, I'm just going to swap out people. Unless you're very consistent and you are seeing consistent revenue, treat this like your little side hustle right now. So you can have a $27 simple digital product. And when you sell it 100 times, you generate $2,700. Now, who wouldn't want an additional $2,700? And guess what happens if you keep doing it over and over and you notice like, wow, I love this and I can do this all the time. That's when you can start swapping out hours for digital products, low-key making money in your sleep. That's called scale, because you're not actively doing something 8 hours a day and you don't have to see as many clients. But I would say in the beginning, do the digital product as a side hustle. People ain't gonna tell you that. They're gonna be like, oh, just do it, sis. Just do it, bro. No, do it in addition to whatever hours you have available and build it one step at a time. So let's just say you have a $47 product. Let's just say if it's a guide, you sell that 100 times. That is $4,700. Now, I know a lot of therapists that do speaking engagements all day long, and your only referral is stay connected with me on Instagram or TikTok or whatever your platform is. If you don't have email marketing, which you should be putting them on your email list, why aren't you putting them on a list to get something simple that you probably have sitting on your computer? Or better yet, some of y'all spend so much doggone time on Canva where you actually have a whole Canva workbook, but you're scared to put it out there. So one digital product can continue selling you, giving you money while you sleep. Okay. So you don't need to create a very huge course first. I think a lot of people, especially therapists, because we teach by nature, we think, oh, you got to be in a mini course, it got to be in a master class. But I'm telling you to start simple. And this is where our profitable streams of income bundle comes in. So you can check it out in the description box, or you can always, on Instagram, for example, people can DM me the word or reply to a story, the word bundle, and then they'll get the link. But you can start simple. And in that guide, it's 109 pages. I give away, and I'm gonna say give away for the investment that it is. I give away over 80 ways you can diversify your income. 60 of those different variations is all digital products. And I give you swipe templates and ideas on how you can provide psychoeducation for diagnoses, but stay in your lane and be ethical. But then there are also bonuses. And I also give you a launch execution guide with how to launch an ebook. Okay. So you can start simple with an ebook, a workbook, a checklist, a toolkit, an audio series that's in there as well. Check that out. And or a psychoeducational guide. The reason why digital products becomes complex for most therapists is that you're doing too much on your first digital product. Okay. So this is just like a snapshot of what the profitable streams of income includes for therapists, social workers, and healers. So it is a combination of a few things that I created at different points in time. People were buying them separately, and then they were asking for the other one. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just bundle them together. So we have the Aligned Digital Playbook for social workers. That's basically 22 different ways of how to diversify your income in the community. It also has some bonuses in there about consultation, working with supervisees and trainings and things like that. Then you have the 60 digital product ideas. That was actually my very first one 2 summers ago. And by all means, it still performs really well with therapists, just being aware of how many different types of digital products there are beyond a ebook. Okay. Then as a bonus, okay, this was actually for our clients. You get a bonus of a ultimate ebook launch execution guide. What that is we took pretty much a condensed version of you watching a whole lot of videos, and we broke it up into a simplified workbook where you can actually go through it, and then you can go through the phases of how to launch, for example, an ebook. Okay. So you can go ahead and grab that. Again, it's a 109-page bundle. Let's go back to it. So your basic knowledge is not basic. I started this masterclass saying that. You talk to people all the time and you think what you're saying is simplified, but it changes someone's perspective on something. It changes someone's life. So you've just normalized it because you've been doing it for years. This is the way that you see and do life and your career and or your business. So the clinicians winning online, when you look at people's messaging, you'll realize, and sometimes it brings up like a healthy level of jealousy. For some, it's like, oh man, how can they get this many comments? This is super easy. But the question is, well, if it's super easy, why aren't you doing it? Maybe the reason why it's simple is definitely correlated with the outcome that they're having, and the reason why you're not getting traction, because when people see your stuff, it may be unattractive, it may not be hooking them in if we're talking about social media, but also it's too complicated to understand. Okay. So do yourself a favor. Do not use any clinical jargon in your digital products. You can define something, but break it down, but don't stay in the clinical jargon lane. No theory dumping. We don't need to know about all the acronyms and theoretical orientations that you've been certified in. Don't nobody care. They just want to know how can you solve their problem. I'm being real. And then you got to focus on the transformation. Like, what are they going to get out of what you offer? Okay. So if your clients, for example, constantly are asking you, how do I? And I'm sure you can think about 5 ways people in your household and ask you, how do I? You may already have what we consider a framework. A framework is, how do you get somebody from the problem that they're presenting, get them in a car, drive them down the road, get off the exit to the transformation. You have a way of doing something, but you don't even realize it because you ain't documenting nothing. You ain't wrote down what you notice you keep doing with the same people or the same type of people over and over again. Okay. You already have systems, probably not documented. You have a process, not documented. You have a specific special sauce, teachable method that is not documented. So I'm going to use this masterclass as an example. I can hands down do a chit chat with me in a car or right here and do a podcast. But when I'm teaching something and I need it to land, I know me. I will talk to y'all for about, and I will let y'all talk to me back in the chat box, right? I will sit here and talk for like 2 hours, no lie. But if I need to be super structured and get to the points with some examples, I tend to have slides. I know myself well, but my people like slides, my community like you like slides because you can go back and follow and you can connect with me in a little bubble, but you can also follow along, right? So think about psychoeducation because we're doing this all the time. It is actually one of the easiest and ethical ways to enter digital products. Now, I know that we have AI. I know that we have YouTube and Google still, but let's be clear, you are still providing your lens of a transformation through your digital product. You just have to know how to write it. So you also are not replacing therapy. Get that out of your head. And that's why I say stay away from clinical jargon. So you have to stay in this lane. And if you find yourself crossing over to the left or crossing over to the right, you've went too far. So just remember when you're creating any digital product, you are simply educating the public. You are providing some type of support for them to understand something. You are guiding them to think about something, but there are certain categories that I would hands down not put in a digital product, like hint, hint, trauma. Okay. And then you want to help people maybe take the next step. So a guide, depending on your expertise, the guide can actually lead to you as the therapist. Maybe it's a level of awareness. Maybe it's a checklist. Maybe you don't even have a paid guide. I know we want to get paid, but maybe your first digital product is an email opt-in. Give me your email address. I'll give you this for free. But technically, you should never make anything for free that's actually free. Let me explain. Anything that I give away for free technically has a price tag on it. I'm just giving it to you for free. Okay. I never create a freebie just to be free because to me, freebies are trash. Freebies, no shade, but freebies for a lot of people is just putting some stuff together just to collect email addresses. No, I want you to feel like you had a whole course with me. I want you to feel like you robbed me. That's how I want you to feel, right? For free. Okay. So you already know how to teach skills, explain patterns, organize thoughts, whether you think you do or not, and you have some imposter syndrome. At the end of the day, you ain't got imposter syndrome when you're talking to them clients, but it comes up when we're talking about business. So you know how to organize thoughts. You know how to sit back and help people reflect, journal out your thoughts. Here's a homework activity. Of course, it is different when you have a digital product on what questions you ask, but all of this is valuable. And every single point that I just said is a digital product. So the goal is not, I repeat, is not to create every type of digital product under the sun. Every digital product that I've created over the last decade, because I was doing digital products before I had my private practice, is I did one at a time. So the real goal is choose one idea, solve one problem, and help one audience. And I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to do this with how I'm going to showcase that bundle, because I don't like to just teach and show you stuff. I want to show you like how I'm doing it and what I do with my clients. I'll say, now pay attention right here because I'm going to show you what I just taught you. I'm going to do it right now. Okay. So let's just say one digital product can lead to, some of you want to do workshops. Now, the dope part about a digital product is that people buying your digital product can get a taste of you and then they can invite you in. When you go speak, if it's allowed, you can also offer or sell your digital product. So it's what's called a front end offer and a back end offer. So you can do workshop speaking, you can do community events, you can do therapy groups, you can do training, you can be a consultant, which means that somebody's hiring you to come in to see the big picture, structure the big picture, create a plan, create a treatment plan for the company, the business, the agency to do something else. And or it can create passive income. Now, I want to be clear about passive income. You still have to market your digital products. You still have to schedule your social media posts or send out emails, or if you know how to do Facebook ads, but don't throw money at them if you don't know how to do them. Okay. But passive income, what I'm referencing, because it low key is half active, half passive, is I may set up posts to go out all week on a Sunday, meaning they go out every day at 7 a.m., which I have going on. Okay. So when I wake up, I may have gotten like 4 to 5 to 6 digital product sales. That to me is passive. I did something for 1 hour for the whole week and it's generating money every single day. Okay. So most therapists, we overcomplicate launching because we don't even know what launching is unless you've been exposed to it. And that's why that launch execution guide and that bundle is key. So you do not need fancy branding, a fancy logo. You don't need 100 videos. You don't need no giant team because, like I said, we live in an era of AI, right? But I really need you to understand that in order for you to stand out, I require that my clients, the one who invest in our coaching, that they actually clearly use their own intellectual property. You should not just be going to AI and saying, hey, this is who I am and this is my name. And you already know me because I've been having you do tasks for me all day. Can you create me like a 50-page bundle? Like, no, you don't do that. You talk to it like you're talking to a friend or a coach or a professor. And then you ask it to organize it and structure your intellectual property for you. And maybe it asks you more clarifying questions so that maybe if there's something you missed, you can flesh it out with your actual thoughts. So everything, for example, you will see in all of those digital product guides, they were literally me talking stuff out. At first, I wasn't using AI. This was 2 summers ago. I was typing it out. Once I got acclimated with AI, I was just like, oh, this is just another version of this website I used to use that would transcribe my dissertation, and it transcribed my old Zoom calls when I would like critique myself. So that's how I use AI as a transcription company. I don't know about you, okay? Because I don't want to be sounding like everybody else. I want to sound like me. So what you really need is clarity on what is the one thing that I want to sell that I can talk about all the time. What kind of structure do you need? Now the bundle will give you a structure for starting. If you want more assistance, then of course you can hit me up. Depending on what you want help with, we can guide you to one of our mentorship programs if it makes sense. But also you have to execute. You got to get out there with a digital product. You aren't just going to get sales because you have a license. It doesn't work like that. So think about it. If people are constantly telling you, oh my gosh, you break things down so well, you so down to earth, you explain things so well, I really want you to pay attention, because if people are constantly telling you that, they're telling you about part of your gift. So as a reflection, think about the last 7 days and how you've shown up for sessions and or for work and interactions with other people. If you don't know what digital product is good for you, okay, just simply say, you know what themes came up over and over again? And I felt like I was having deja vu, like I was repeating myself multiple times. That may be your actual next digital product. It does not have to be perfect. Done is better than perfect. So most therapists, we know we're not lacking expertise because you got a license. I'm not saying license equates to quality of a clinician, but what I am saying is that you know a lot of stuff. And so again, like I said, if you're not very clear about what it is that you want to help somebody with, and also if you do not know how to position yourself as the expert, meaning you don't even want to show your face. Now, this is what tickles me. Therapists and clinicians will say, I don't want to show my face in the video, but you talk all day long. I don't like my voice. You talk all day long. So why don't you use your talking voice and just press record? You don't have to post it, not right now, but you should. Just talk to the camera like you're talking to someone, okay? But you got to implement. So again, profitable streams of income, grab it down below the video. If you are watching on another platform, like on Instagram, you can comment the word bundle, and it's a 109 bundle. You get 80 plus streams of income diversified into digital products and services. You get that ebook launch execution guide. You get specifically digital product examples for clinicians. So that is how I stand out. You're not getting like, oh, you can do like an ebook. No, I'm going to tell you what are some examples if you like serve anxiety, depression, like, and this is what you can actually put on a social media post. Like I give you the template, use it for inspiration, and then go make it. Okay. It's that simple, but I focus on ethics. Okay. You got to position even the wording that you put in your guides, for example, or if you do a masterclass or a mini course, you should be specifically saying, while I am, for example, a licensed clinical psychologist, I am the author of this guide. I am the facilitator of this workshop or masterclass. And I literally say it out loud every time I speak. If anybody see me on a stage in public, I will literally say these words before I start talking. I am no one's therapist in this audience. I am a therapist, but I am not yours. So please keep that in mind, and I'll make sure to give you some resources for mental health if anything is coming up for you based on this topic. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay. So that's how I cover myself in the beginning and the end with, of course, resources. So when you think about what I said earlier, you want to create a digital product that solves a problem. Okay. So when I think about 109 pages, somebody gonna be like, oh my gosh, like that's a lot, but it's not like a textbook that you read page by page. You do go through it, but you're looking for the stream of income that aligns with you the most. And then you stop there and you dig deep. Okay. So when I was creating and combining all of these products, I needed to think about, and I want you to use what I'm about to tell you as an example of how you can position yourself. I had to ask myself, is this going to overwhelm a therapist, or is this going to, what I would prefer, inspire a therapist? Because maybe they only think about courses and ebooks, and there are way more things you can do with one-to-many services, because that's ultimately what kind of coach I am. I want you to get grounded and create a foundation for individual therapy so that you can learn how to be an entrepreneur. But after you build systems for yourself, for one person at a time, then you can make room and have the capacity to be able to successfully add another stream of income. So what I thought to myself is, how do I ethically turn what I already know into a scalable stream of income beyond one-to-one therapy? That is usually the question that I get not so long from other therapists. Like, how can I turn what I do every day into different streams of income? Like, that's usually what I get in my DM. That sound like that. So you have expertise, thousands of hours. You have experience, personal life. You have stories, not case studies, because you know what I'm saying, we want to roll with ethics unless you can really de-identify all the information, or maybe blend a couple of your past clients, not current. But you also have a special sauce way of doing particular things combined with your personality. So you already popping. Like, you're already popping. Okay. So what you're missing is direction. And that's why I added the launch execution guide, because I wanted you with the ideas just for you to be inspired to see that there are various ways that you can expand your streams of income. So I don't want you to bucket yourself and just say, oh, if I don't want to do an ebook, then what? No, you can do different things. So like I said, you already paid for the expertise. Okay. Like you invested in your education, correct? So you have the degree. If you have imposter syndrome, this should knock it out. Okay. You have your degree. You have plenty of supervision hours. You may have experienced burnout. You have clinical experience. You have years of helping people. And let me just add, if you've been in an administrator role, like not over your practice, but at a job, quality assurance, supervisor, you now have leadership skills. Okay. So it's time to leverage what you have gotten paid for at a job, as long as there ain't no conflict of interest with your current employer. Okay. You can leverage what you've built somewhere else, if it's your intellectual property, in your own business. Okay. So these are just, again, various ways that I just believe that a lot of therapists are just sitting on a lot of money, and you actually are not leveraging the money. Does that make sense? So let me see. Let me stop this. Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how did you enjoy this brief masterclass? Even if you're watching it after our live stream, go ahead and put your comments in, because my whole goal with, especially like the sun is out, once we hit summer, I go extra hard with digital products. Okay. So if you want to see what's possible and you want to take advantage of getting the profitable streams of income, all you have to do is check up under this video, check the description box. The link is right there. If somebody happens to, I'm pointing at my phone because I got Instagram up. If somebody's on Instagram, all they got to do is comment bundle and you will get it. Now, depending on, clearly, if you're watching live, you're going to hear this message live. It is May 9th. Okay. I would highly encourage you to go to my main page on YouTube or go to my Instagram or TikTok. And there is a link also for a free boot camp. Now, the boot camp is not going to replace this bundle. I want to be clear. The reason why I'm telling you about the boot camp is that I want you to assess your readiness for the implementation of the type of other stream of income that you have. So this is what we're doing. We're doing a 3-day boot camp. It's called Built to Last. And we will be going 3 days with some replays, limited time only, where you can walk yourself through looking at how stable, for example, those who have a private practice, how stable your private practice is to step away to add a stream of income, because the different streams of income are going to require different sets of hours for you, depending on your expertise, how long you've been doing something for or not. Maybe you have to learn a new skill and all the things. Okay. But where I usually tell clinicians to start is get inspired by something else that you want to do beyond one-to-one therapy. That way you have a guide, you have a map. And when I, do like a boot camp or a masterclass like this, and if we, when we open enroll for our programs, then at least you know what stream of income you're interested in. But like I said, it is over 80 streams. And our clients have used it, and it has gotten them more clear on stop jumping around from product to product. This is here for inspiration. Choose your category. Is it digital or is it clinical services beyond one-on-one? Let's just say they choose digital. All right. Do you want the ebook? Do you want the workbook? Because the workbook, you may script out answers or whatnot. That's the biggest difference. Do you want just a simple checklist? Do you want it to just be $7 to build your awareness and your email list? Let's do it, right? But the profitable streams of income has been out for a little bit now in terms of the bundle. And so I would highly recommend that you grab it. I'm happy that I went live. I'm starting to create content, especially when it comes down to videos and podcasts, because I used to do this in my sleep like 6 times a week. I used to record 6 podcasts a week, but it was audio only. And I really love video because I really thrive off of live, even if I can't see you, but you can see me, even if I can't see your comments or whatever the case may be. I love interacting with people. And so if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out our playlist for digital products. I do a lot of examples of launches, but where you would start is the digital product math, which is the profitable streams of income bundle. All right. So get the bundle and then make sure that you check out the rest of my links so that you can sign up for that bootcamp. It does start on Monday. We wrap up on Wednesday, and replays will be available for an additional 10 days. So up until that following Friday morning, replays will be available. So it's free. Might as well get in before the summer. And I will see y'all there. Have a great day. Bye. Have a great weekend too. And have a great Mother's Day for my lovely mamas. All right. Bye, y'all.